Hello everyone, my name is Diego Hernandez and I'm with the Beyond the Spectrum campaign here at Da Vinci Design High School. Today's discussion will be about slurs and derogatory language. In order to create a more accepting world, meaning a world where all people feel safe and unafraid to express who they truly are, the first step is to get rid of any language that is used to oppress or attack individuals. We've all said things that we're not sure of the definition of. We may think it's a harmless joke or just a word that doesn't mean anything, but before we open our mouths, we have to ask ourselves what will come out of it and how will it affect people surrounding me. Today's lesson will go over the slurs or phrases that are sometimes used in everyday language. It is important to take note of these terms and educate people about the importance of using them and the importance of making sure that no one is offended by any of their language. Just so everyone is aware, we are not using these words that we're going to say in this video as a means of attacking a specific individual or a group of individuals. We are using this to educate people and making sure that everyone knows not to use this language. We don't condone the use of this language. We're trying to spread awareness to stop the use of this language. The first word we are going to be talking about is the word faggot. The term is often used to describe a gay person. It's a way to shame them for being themselves. The word to some people has the same level of hatred and disrespect as the N word. It is a word that's often used to make a joke of somebody, and it's usually taken lightly, and it's usually expressed as a joke. And it is and was intended to oppress and offend gay men all the way back to the origin of the word in 1914. One believed origin was in reference to a bundle of sticks that was to be lit on fire in order to burn gay men at the stake. If you or someone you know use this word on a daily basis in order to offend somebody or even use it as a joke, you have to know that it's not a joke whatsoever and it's a serious matter to a lot of people, and it is used to offend a lot of people. It is neither funny nor it is okay to use this word. The second word that we're going to be discussing today is the word tranny. The term is used often against those who identify as transgender and an attempt to dehumanize them and others who are cross-dressers or transsexual as well. The slur comes from ignorance and the lack of respect for another human being. It is meant to attack transgender individuals due to the lack of knowledge that the person has. One thing to keep in mind when learning or hearing about this slur is the fact that it's important to correct the person that's using them and attempt to rehumanize those transgender individuals who have gone through a long history of battling different groups of people attacking them and killing them and harassing them and harming them, and these people don't deserve to live that way anymore. The third word on our list today is a word that you wouldn't really expect to be a slur, but it is the word homosexual. And the term is not necessarily a bad term, but it has been categorized as this negative thing and it has a negative connotation to it, and it's been adopted a lot by several different anti-gay extremists. And it's a way to dehumanize gay men and lesbians, considering that the word homo is one of the most used words that are used in a negative manner. A little bit of history about the word is the fact that in the past, men who identified as gay were categorized as homosexual by psychologists as a pathological disorder, and up until about the 1970s, homosexuals at the time were usually going through conversion therapy and did not want to become gay men, but they wanted to become straight, normal men. And we definitely have lived in a society where heteronormative is the most predominant thing ever. It may sound silly or simple, but It's important to use terms rather than homosexual to use gay or lesbian when describing a gay man or a lesbian woman. A phrase that is also pretty offensive is sexual preference. The phrase sexual preference is meant to suggest that the sexuality is just a phase or something you can choose in your life. That you choose to be gay or you choose to be bisexual. When in reality, there's no preference whatsoever. It's just who they are and what they are comfortable being attracted to. Instead of asking what somebody's sexual preference is better to ask about their sexual orientation, which is a much more respectable term. Another very offensive term is the word hermaphrodite, and it's a very outdated term, but it's still used commonly in today's language. Many people usually believe in the misinformation of the fact that people are half man and half woman, that they have breasts and they have a penis and they're considered a hermaphrodite. And that's completely wrong. People who actually identify as trans are not considered hermaphrodites whatsoever, and it is a very outdated medical term when transgender individuals were sort of in the spotlight for the first time. People don't generally like being labeled as something that they are not, so why use that word to describe them? So the correct term to use them is intersex, person with both genitalias. Another term that's very offensive is transvestite, and it's a derogatory term when referring to someone who usually is cisgender as someone who is not cisgender, and usually the cisgender people that are used for this word are typically men who cross dress or are drag queens. It soon became offensive due to transvestic fetishism and reference to one sex dressing as the other in the purpose of sexual gratification. It is sometimes even used against transgender and transsexual individuals, a way to ignore their gender identity and tie in some sort of sexual fetish with them, and it's not okay for someone to be gratified as a sexual being and nothing else. It's more respectful to actually use the word crossdresser when addressing somebody in that manner, since it does not fetishize or attack the individual. And lastly, the final term that we're going to be discussing today is the word dyke. And it's a term that describes lesbians, however, it is mostly used offensively to categorize lesbians as masculine. There are many terms meant to label lesbians either feminine or masculine, believing that there needs to be a box to put them in. And for example, the term femme is another way to categorize lesbians to have a more feminine side to them. So both are very derogatory towards lesbians, and typically lesbians get very offended by the use of that word, and they do not like being categorized as something that they're not. With these offensive terms in mind, it is in your hands to take control of them. Meaning, what exactly will you do with this information? The best answer is to spread it. Make sure more people are aware of these slurs, and that these slurs aren't just words with no meaning or something you can shrug off. They are meant to attack, oppress, and dehumanize these people and the LGBT community. Make a change and be the change. Thank you for watching today, and I hope you have an amazing day, and stay tuned for next week. Thank you.